to Washington, D.C., live and Mike Farrell.
In the 1950s, America went UFO crazy. Waves of sightings were often followed by waves of hoaxes. Pranksters were busy airbrushing negatives and doing photographic cut-and-paste jobs. They even tossed saucepans in front of the camera and dangled hubcaps in the air. Obviously, they were just out to get publicity. George Adamski claimed direct contact with blonde-haired aliens who took him to the moon and Venus, where, he said, he took these photographs. Then came the Barker incident at a small airfield in West Virginia, where this film footage was shot. This was termed the Lost Creek Flying Saucer. Many people who saw this film believed that the hanging thing you see was in fact a UFO. We'll leave it to you. The 60s and 70s brought various groups of people who actually built saucer-shaped vehicles and attempted to fly them. And about 10 years ago, there began what we believe to be the most elaborate hoax of all. A Swiss farmer, Billy Meyer, claimed to have had direct contact with an extraterrestrial group from the Pleiades star system. Meyer produced photographs of what he called beam ships. And the occupants of these beam ships. Interestingly, one of the aliens looked very much like a Swiss fashion model, and the so-called beam ship was found in his barn. Now, Billy Meyer's beam ships may have been obvious hoax, but thousands of UFO sightings from all over the world are not so easily explained away. Joining me now from the suburbs of New York City are Robert Pozzuoli, a computer systems executive, and his wife, Lori. I'm glad you could be with us tonight.
Thank you, and nice to be here.
Tell us what happened to you 4 years ago.
Local residents around our town of Brewston, New York, reported seeing UFOs. More than 9,000 reports came in and were always the same. Noiseless, hovering, boomerang-shaped objects approximately 150 feet from wingtip to wingtip. When we spotted it, I had my video camera, and we quickly started shooting the footage you'll see.
I think your comments on the tape are especially interesting. Let's look at it now.
Oh, good God.
What do you think?
I don't know.
About planes?
I'm going to tell you something, honey. I don't know what the hell it is.
Tell me, what kind of effect this sighting has had on your life?
Well, we've become very popular.
Well, that's certainly not bad, is it?
No.
Oh, Bob and Lori Pozzuoli, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Now, from the piney woods of East Texas on December 23rd, 1980, comes a bizarre close encounter of the second kind experienced by our next guests, Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum. Betty, Vicki, thank you for making the trip here tonight. Welcome to our show. Tell me, what happened to you that night?
It was a very cold night. Vicki and I and her grandson were coming back from playing bingo. Suddenly, little Colby noticed a bright light in the sky above the pine trees. A tremendous amount of heat was coming from this diamond-shaped thing. Fire was coming out of the bottom of it. When it moved, it made a swishing sound, and there was a beeping the entire time, a deafening beeping that I still hear in my mind at night.
All three of us got out of the car, and Toby and I got right back in.
I just stood there terrified for about 10 minutes. The object lit up the surrounding pine woods like it was daylight. I was burning, my skin was burning.
Well, you must have been terrified. How long did the craft hover over you?
Oh, about 20 minutes. Fire was coming out of the bottom like a blowtorch. It lifted up and then flew over the trees.
That was when we saw the helicopters come out.
The helicopters?
Colby County, 23 of them.
And I understand, in fact, you later identified them as CH-47 Chinook military helicopters.
Yes, it seems that they were trying to escort the craft somewhere. It looked like they were about to collide. The roar sounded like a tornado. When we got home, I washed Colby off and put him to bed. When the water touched his skin, he cried out like he had been burned, as if he had been in the sun too long.
And I was too sick to work the next day. My eyes swelled closed and welts appeared on my face and head. I thought I was going to die. Vicki came and took me to the emergency room of the hospital. They treated me like a burn patient. Over the next few days, I kept losing big patches of skin on my face, and about half of my hair fell out. They kept me in the hospital over a month with no improvement.
It seems to me it takes remarkable inner strength to survive an ordeal like that. How are you doing now?
I have cancer. I was operated on in March 1983, and the doctors could not say if they got it all. Now, some days I'm okay, other days are terrible.
Has the government ever expressed a willingness to take responsibility for this thing?
No, and I'm mad as hell, and disappointed with the government of our United States.
Well, I don't blame you, Miss Cash. And Ms. Landrum, thank you for joining us in Washington. I think you two are extraordinarily courageous ladies.
Thank you.
We'd like you to,
Smart.
thank you. We'd like you to see this exclusive videotape of a man we know only as Falcon. We asked him what the truth was concerning your case.
The Cash Landrum incident, the craft that was observed was a alien craft piloted by military aircraft pilots. Although they had been trained and were somewhat familiar with the craft, they found that the aircraft did not respond to certain controls. They radioed that they thought the craft was going to crash. Standard procedures for the military in a situation where an aircraft was going to crash, the military would send up search and rescue helicopters. The helicopters were following the craft. The craft experienced severe problems. It was thought that the craft was going to crash. However, this craft did not crash.
Here are two hypotheses. One, the UFO Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum saw was actually an aircraft developed by the United States government. Another possibility, suggested by Falcon, is that it was a craft given our government by extraterrestrials.
Stand by for first-hand reports of abduction, close encounters of the fourth kind. Stay with UFO Cover-Up Live.
You can depend on AT&T Long Distance thanks to the remarkable people who put our equipment to the test.
I love wrecking things. This is a special laboratory. Here we create disasters. One disaster right after another. Why do we do all this? Once we understand how these things can destroy long-distance service, we can build equipment that'll stand up to it.
We're reaching further to bring your world closer.
Yeah, the storm's over.
AT&T, the right choice.
Today, there's a way to lose weight without being hungry and without caffeine to make you nervous.
I lose weight because I'm not hungry, and Dexatrim's caffeine-free, so I don't feel nervous or jittery.
Dexatrim's amazing. I lost weight without being hungry, and that never happened before.
Just one caffeine-free Dexatrim works all day, morning through bedtime, to control your appetite and help you lose weight.
The pounds came off, and I feel great.
Today's caffeine-free Dexatrim. Nothing works harder to help you lose weight.